Oh, boy.
Man.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order this this meeting of the School Administrative Unit Number 12, Londonderry School District, and the Londonderry School Board. Could you please rise? And Mr. Bovee, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good evening. Apologize for starting a little late. We were in a non-public session earlier. And this evening, it's with great pleasure that we announce the new athletic director for Londonderry School District, and that is Mr. Howard Sobolov. So Howard, stand up. Put you down. Thank you. Welcome to Londonderry, and we expect great things from you. And you've got quite the tradition to follow in with Kobe. So we appreciate it, and again, welcome to Londonderry. And with that, I was going to say we're going to move, and we're going to go right ahead with the Leo Award. So Mrs. Ballard, would you come on forward?
Initially, we thought we'd start this evening with a presentation on WLLOLP, but as you know, this is a very special night. This is the 7th Annual Leo Awards, and several of our recipients, being the celebrities they are, have other places to be this evening, so we're going to go ahead with the Leos and make sure we do those presentations first. And we've had a couple of changes since the board received your package. Regrettably, Pat Slozak can't be with us this evening, so we've reassigned a couple of the presentations to a couple of the board members, and your programs do reflect that. So, without further ado, I would like to start the evening by announcing our first two award recipients and asking Lauren Anker and Chrissy Hanley to please come up. I'd like to tell you something about these fine young women who are students at Londonderry High School. They are the recipients of the Outstanding Student Contribution to Leo 21. They have served as student directors, directing the Winter Adult Education Graduation Program. They were also the directors of the school district deliberative session this year, and they'll be on again as directors June 8th with the Adult Ed graduation again. They have also been wonderful in working with elementary students, I believe last year at North and South School for the enrichment clusters, and this year they were at Matthew Thornton School. So we thank you so much, and this is Lauren, right? And this is Chrissy. And we would like to ask a school board member, Lisa Detweiler is our student representative, to come out and give the Leos to these ladies. That's it. Yeah, that's that. Congratulations. Thank you very much. My cheat sheet here. I'd like to read something about our next recipient and make sure that he gets up here so I can acknowledge him. His name is John Gregg, and he is also a student at Londonderry High School. And he is the recipient of a special recognition award from Leo. I'd like to read to you the comments of his teacher, Suzanne Johnson, who thinks very highly of him. She says, Senior John Gregg has been instrumental in keeping the media lab up and running smoothly. He has not only provided help with keeping equipment functioning and answering questions regarding software, he has become a fantastic teacher. When we run into a glitch with a computer problem, he's online and reading manuals to fix it. Anyone of any age or competency who comes to the lab for assistance raves about his ability to assist and teach them how to do whatever needs to be done. His service has always been above and beyond what any student would be asked to do, and the real kicker is we never have to ask. John always volunteers. So congratulations, and I'd like to ask that John Robinson please come up and present you with your Leo.
lady over here doesn't want a picture of me, she wants a picture of you, so why don't you stand over here?
You said he wasn't smart enough to be on the school
That
board.
kid. Okay, yeah.
He's got it.
And congratulations.
She didn't fax, come back.
There you go.
Thank you. You work in a photo studio in another life, John?
Mr. Robinson, you need to stand here, stay here.
Stay there.
Okay. It's a real honor to be able to ask our next recipient, who is one of you, to come down. You all know Lisa Detweiler, who is the student representative to the Londonderry School Board. And Lisa has this year been instrumental in really helping WLLOLP get some traction. She has done some amazing things. She helped to cover Election Night Live just a little while ago. It was a terrific job that she did, and she was assisted. I think you had a wrangler in Mr. Young who helped get some guests on the air. She did a terrific job. And she also started really helped to initiate the use of PSAs on WLLOP during this year when the folks from Warm Homes came in to talk to us about that endeavor. Lisa was so moved that the next day, on her own, she was busy recording a PSA for Warm Homes, which is still on our website if you'd like to listen to that. So there's some great stuff that's happening with our students, and Lisa is really, really deserving of recognition for her outstanding contribution to WLLOLP. Lisa.
You do this and go to my own ones, yeah?
Okay, now we're getting into the swing of things, and I would like to, if you bear with me one moment, see if I can bring up a video clip from the screen that you see behind you, which is a live connection to our website. I'd like to ask our next recipient, Chris Thompson, to come out because he has something to do with this. And he is also the student director of tonight's school board meeting, so it might take him a second to come on out. And let's see. Chris was an intern for Leo this last summer through Gail Esterly's program, and we charged him with coming up with a little PSA for Leo. And here it is. We can bring up the sound.
Londonderry Educational Outreach encompasses the Londonderry School
Doesn't sound like it's plugged in.
Yeah, it's not,
Why don't you grab
This-
that microphone, just put it by the speaker?
I've got it there. Here we go.
The newest member to the Leo family, Leo 103 WLLOLP. Leo 103 airs a mix of programming put on by district staff, teachers, administrators, students, and community volunteers. It allows students an opportunity to learn about mass communication as well as broadcasting.
This is WLLOLP Londonderry Schools.
The school district website can be found at www.londonderry.org. To get information 24 hours a day on district programs, phone numbers, school board information, calendars, special events, and of course, specific school information. The Insider Press, school districts insert in the Londonderry Times, bringing school district information to the community. Leo 21, local cable channel 21, capturing special events, concerts, after-school activities, and student-produced videos to help bring the classroom to your home.
So, Mr. Herman, if you Chris, and I just want to explain to anybody, the audio problem had nothing to do with Chris's production. His audio was dead on. Congratulations.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
All right. Okay. And Mr. Herman, you're going to stand by, right? You're standing by because, and now we've recognized our students. We have some teachers that we'd like to thank. So I'd like to ask Heather La Rochelle, who's here with us this evening, to come up. As you know, every teacher in the Londonderry School District has a web presence. And every year we ask our members of our advisory board to take a look, and we'd like to recognize them. And Heather's was nominated among many for Most Improved Student webpage. I invite you to visit her webpage at Matthew Thornton School because it's really chock full of good content for parents and students to enjoy. So Heather, thank you for your work, and Mr. Herman, we'll give you Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And also with us this evening is Regan Dignan from North School, whose webpage is being recognized as an outstanding teacher webpage. And Mr. Parker is going to help with that presentation.
How are you? Thank you very much. Thanks.
Our next two recipients, Katie Myers from South School and Kurt Galtieri from Londonderry Middle School, were unable to be here. So accepting on their behalf is Mr. Parker. Okay, we'll put them right over there and we'll take them on. And I would like to ask Mr. Young to please join us, because we have our first ever two-time Leo winner with us this evening. And that's Mr. Rich Levergood, who previously was honored for his work with Channel 21 production, and now his webpage is being cited. So congratulations. Nope, the wrong one.
You should have shown up earlier.
Okay.
She wants to get that picture.
I'm very embarrassed to be drawing a blank.
www.londonderry.org.
.org, right.
The high school site.
I'm sorry, high school.
Yep. And click on high school, and then click on teachers.
Good teachers, right. I always click favorites and then,
Home page.
thank you very much.
And finally, if Mr. Campo would assist us. I'd like to ask Grace Leatherby from South School to come up. This year, Grace was the producer of a program on how schools are instituting our new three-tier reading model and all of the things that are being done for students. It was a fabulous production, and I know for a fact that our video technician, John Beaulieu, raved about Grace's organizational skills, putting that production together, making sure everybody was where they were supposed to be, when they were supposed to be there. He said it was a piece of cake because of her organization. So we'd like to recognize her for her outstanding program achievement.
Thanks, Mom.
And that concludes the 7th Annual Leo Awards. And we will now be asking Mrs. Robinson, I think she's out of the booth because she took over there for a bit, to come up and talk to you about one of the members of our Leo family. And she has some students with her this evening. And we're going to talk a little bit about WLLO-LP, Londonderry Schools.
You can do all the promos, Ms. Ballard.
She does some of them.
Mr. Zakili's trying to get your attention, I think.
We actually
Never
are going to
mind.
start with a brief PowerPoint, but back row, but we'll make them come up afterwards. The three of them were part of my very active class last spring, radio class last spring. They've been very active since then. And all three are featured in one way or another, I believe, in the PowerPoint. But why don't we start with that?
One thing first.
Absolutely.
Can't believe I did this. I wasn't paying attention, and I skipped in my program a Leo Award recipient who's here, Ann Sylvius from Matthew Thornton School, who has a terrific webpage. So I'd like to ask Ann. And she said, I'll come if you won't embarrass me, and look what I have done. Look what I have done.
How's that going?
More,
So we will have, you
Not
give,
embarrassed, but worse.
you're going to give her Regan's certificate, and then you'll switch back. And, thank you.
There's no reason for you to be embarrassed.
Sorry, Ann.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And were we able to hear the audio out here?
I believe so.
Because I know we could hear it in the back.
Yeah,
So,
okay, so I'm going to launch this now?
Leo 103 is WLLO-LP, Londonderry Schools.
Yo, this is MC Sully, and for the next hour you will be listening to a bunch of my favorite songs over the years on WLLO-LP Londonderry Schools Leo 103. The first song on my list is by an artist from American Idol. Here's Daughtry with Over You. Now that it's all said and done, I can't believe...
I think, John, the keys to the game here are going to stay close in the first half.
Absolutely.
It's that simple. Stay in the game in the first half, and anything can happen in the second half. It'd be wonderful. We could take the lead, have a lead, so forth and so on. But the bottom line, stay in the game. Don't let them score early. Number 4, as we predicted, Quintella going to be the kicker. Ryan had a great year, and here we go.
Hey, do you want to see some of your favorite teachers face off against former Patriots players?
Yeah!
And do you like basketball?
Yes, I do.
Well, you're in luck, kids, because on December 1st at 7 p.m., there will be a Patriot alumni versus LHS faculty basketball game. Come watch Mrs. Sullivan, Mr. Demas, Mr. Parent, and others battle it out at this exciting event. Not good enough reason? Well, then how about raising money for the Londonderry High School Booster Club for scholarships? Tickets will cost $10 for adults and $3 for students. You don't want to miss out on this sensational extravaganza of massive proportions.
Whoa, so cool.
Hello, I'm Will and this is Brandon, and we're here at WLLOLP with Londonderry Lancers head football coach Tom Sawyer. Today we'll be asking Coach how he feels about football and teaching, as well as when and how he plans to retire. So thanks, Coach, for coming over to speak with us.
My pleasure, guys.
So what made you want to coach football?
Well, that's a good question because I wanted to be a veterinarian. Believe it or not.
you heard it
Hello again,
first
this
here,
is Quincy.
guys.
And this is Kevin, and this is your weekly Lancer Varsity Sport Update, and you're listening to WLLOLP Leo 103 Londonderry Schools.
Scores from the past week are as follows. Boys lacrosse won their first game at Memorial. They won it 15-7.
Hi, we're from the Matthew Thornton Radio Cluster, and you're listening to WLLO-LP, Londonderry Schools.
Microphone? Sorry, the audio level was a little bit low. I hope everybody could hear for the most part. I just wanted to elaborate a little bit on what you saw and then tell you a bit about these guys and largely just throw it open to questions. We've had an awful lot of activity this past year, both in terms of classes and also the radio club. And if I can back up to last spring, that's when Richard and Jordan and Kevin were all in the radio class. And they brought a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and we really got a lot of things going. And at that time, it wasn't quite as easy for us to go and record something quickly and get it on the air. So they didn't have some of the technology in place that we had hooked up at the beginning of this year. But they had a whole lot of interest, and they kept asking me, is there going to be an advanced radio class? And I kept saying, no, there really isn't going to be an advanced radio class. You know, I'm glad that you're interested. But eventually I got to thinking that there's no reason why we can't offer radio more than once. And as of next year, students who would like to come back and take the class again are going to be able to do so. And so these guys who started as sophomores are coming back in their senior year. And I know they've got a lot of things that they would like to be taking on themselves, but also sort of to pick up with what they've been doing sort of informally since they left the class last spring. These guys are core members of the radio club, which started second semester this year. And Kevin over here wrote a nice article, which I guess, Richard, somebody brought in from the oh, thank you. From the Lancer Spirit. He wrote a nice article promoting the radio club as it was forming. And some of the enthusiasm that you heard in a couple of those announcements also promoted us on the air when we were trying to get people to come in for the club. Kevin and Jordan were involved with some of the football games that we did live. We did the Pinkerton game live. I'm sure those of you who are paying attention probably noticed that the clip that we played at the football game was actually last year's Pinkerton game. It was the only one I could get my hands on to get an actual MP3 clip. So it was not, it was a game that we taped last year, the Pinkerton game. It was not this year's game, but we did do this year's Pinkerton game, and then we did the playoff game in Nashua. Kevin, I guess, was at both games, along with another student, and Jordan and Kevin worked the Nashua game. And one of the things that we did, boy, was it the beginning of March? The dodgeball tournament. When was that? Beginning of March. I think our first real big live event that we covered was very successful. Lisa was a part of it as well, but largely due to these guys and Lisa and one or two other students, the dodgeball tournament that the Honor Society put together was hugely successful. I don't think anybody realized it was going to be as successful as it was. And we did live coverage of the finals. And these guys, we had wireless mics, and they were roaming all over the place, interviewing people on the floor and in the stands. And, you know, after a team got eliminated, they get some feedback on that. And they just went live the whole time. They did play-by-play, which if you've never heard dodgeball play-by-play, you haven't lived. And they did interviews, and they did everything. And we had no real plan. We'd never done anything like this before. They just were ready to step up to the plate and go for it. And, you know, we had sort of a basic idea, and then they jumped right in. And who was it that got the text message? Was it you? Got the text message when we were going live from one of your friends who was home listening, saying how awesome it was. So talk about, you know, instant Nielsen ratings here. So that was awesome. Trying to go back for a minute. I don't have the slides memorized. We're doing a lot of interviews. We're doing public service announcements. The class that I had this year could take a press release or a newspaper article, revise it, record it, edit it, and get it ready to roll in the span of one 45-minute class period, which was awesome. So we had some really quick turnaround on a few things. And those are the things that we want to continue doing. I look forward to the students who have been around helping the newer students. There are different kinds of programs that we'd like to do. Play-by-play is something that hopefully we're going to be able to start doing a little bit of. I know we talked about maybe baseball, play-by-play, to try a few games out. The enrichment clusters, I've just got one wrapping up at Matthew Thornton. I know John worked at South School earlier this year, but the enrichment clusters also have been a big hit, and it gets people interested, and they realize that radio is something that you can do pretty quickly and easily. We've got one of those little teeny digital audio recorders that we've now started using, and the high school actually hasn't used it yet. I started using it with the enrichment clusters. They're going into the individual clusters and saying, so what are you making? And then so far I've heard, let's see, we made chocolate with strawberries dipped in, or fruit dipped in chocolate, and pizza and quilting and all kinds of things that they're just going around from room to room saying, what are you doing? Oh, cool, what's that? But they're learning that you have to explain what it is they're seeing. They can't just say, oh, wow, look at that, because we can't see it. What am I forgetting, guys? What else did you guys get involved in?
Music shows.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Music shows. They did the first, I think they did the first series of music shows in their class. The class that just ended had some diversity that we hadn't had previously. Lisa did a music show comprised of Broadway show tunes, which was really nice. Richard actually took the jazz CD that the LHS Jazz Ensemble recorded last spring, sat down with Serge Bolio, and pretty much did a behind the scenes of this making of the CD. So he talked about the CD, and then he'd say, okay, well, can you explain, what's the significance of this track? Why did you pick it? And who soloed and all of that. So that's actually running now. Also on the Leo website, if you go to Leo 103, you can on demand click and get a variety of either the interviews, I know the jazz CD show is up there, some of the PSAs. Sports, Kevin and Jordan are recording a weekly sports update on every Thursday, and I'm trying to keep current on the website with that. I know that they put that up weekly, as long as I remember to send the file to Dan McLeod. So we're starting to do a lot more, and preliminary numbers for the radio class for next year has increased tremendously. The club has a pretty good following. The picture didn't have a few people who couldn't make it that particular day. But we've got really, I think, a lot of things in the past 6 months just really taking off. And I don't know if these guys, I'm sure they're willing to answer questions. I don't know if you want to volunteer anything. So questions for either me or
I've
for
never
any of
known
them?
either of those two young men to be shy, so.
This is true.
Really?
Except here.
This is the quietest you guys have been since I've known you all those years. It is. Absolutely. You
don't
got a
mind.
question? Absolutely.
This really isn't rehearsed. Guys, tell me, why'd you get involved in the radio club? Why'd you get involved in the radio class? Sorry.
Well, going into my sophomore year, I was looking through electives, and I needed another class, and I said, okay, maybe radio is one that I'm thinking about doing, because I listen to Rock 101 every day, and I really like listening to the radio, while I'm driving, so I thought maybe radio broadcasting would be a fun class to take, and I took it, and it was actually probably one of my favorite classes that I've taken at high school. And Miss Robinson's really easygoing, and we nag her sometimes, but
Yeah,
she
it's
really
okay, so do
she
I.
really likes us, and she's definitely a good teacher, and she was really one of the people that got me going and got me actually liking radio. So that was why I'm still in radio club and taking it next year.
When we were doing our courses, selecting our courses for that sophomore year, I noticed it, and the description was very vague, but I went through it because I've always kind of had a dream about being a radio DJ ever since I was little. But
it's between, like, the experience between radio and video, they're almost really close, and I like both of them. And the experience that we had in the radio class is one that you can't forget, because, like, we were joking around one day, hey, can we get a radio DJ in here to come and talk to us? And Mrs. Robinson's like, well, if you go ahead and email this person, sure, we can see what we can do. So Kevin went out of his way, got his email, and little do we know, he came in and spoke to us. She took us on a field trip to a broadcast.
Frank FM 106.3.
Yeah, and that was a really awesome field trip. And yeah.
I took the radio class because, same as Kevin, I was looking for an elective to fill my schedule. And I also took it because these two were taking it. Kind of, I could have a class with my friends.
There was actually a bunch of us that were talking about, just joking around, oh, we should take radio broadcasting, and we ended up all being in the same class, too, so.
Now, you guys are juniors this year?
We're all juniors.
Have you thought about colleges at all yet?
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you looking for colleges that have radio stations where you could keep doing this kind of stuff?
Just the other week, I visited Franklin Pierce University, and I went to the, they have this new, like, Fitzwater Communications Center, and it's, they have their own, like, radio station, and they have a whole TV station and everything, and I was talking to someone about it, and it was definitely something that I'm keeping my mind open to, because radio is something that I really like.
And, like, all the colleges I've been looking at, they make it a big deal to let you know that even if you don't want to go into radio, you're always
Still
welcome to
volunteer.
go help them out. Or even if you really want to have your own radio show, you can definitely have one. So I'm definitely keeping that in mind.
Cool.
What's really nice about the three of them, though, is that they're very diverse and they're willing to jump in and try anything. You know, I know that sports play-by-play is something that these guys have been talking about doing. Now they're doing their sports wrap-up. But I would throw press releases at them and say, okay, now rewrite this for a 30-second, radio version. And they did an awesome job. I mean, it's not something, I know you weren't even doing newspaper at that point, were you?
No, I was only sophomore, so.
So, yeah, for the most part, they hadn't done something like that before, but they really didn't have any trouble taking
It actually helped me
taking
with
that.
journalism,
For
doing
journalism?
those, yeah. Helped
Yeah,
me a
because
lot.
I used to, day after day, I'd say, okay, here's another article, and
Every
they'd-
single day we came into class, I think we did one.
in the beginning. But I focus a lot on writing because I've been told by people in the industry, no matter where you go in communications, you need to have strong writing skills, and being able to be concise and take something and translate it down. We've talked about the fact that when you write for print, it's not meant to be listened to. So when you're writing for the radio, it is meant to be heard and it's meant to be spoken. You have to be able to say the words and pronounce them, but also you speak a little bit less formally, and that's a good transition for them to make, and they've all made it well. Richard's in my video class. Kevin has been working with the newspaper, which I assume you want to do next year as well.
Yes.
And this guy comes in on his study hall. He'd much rather be in radio than study hall, so he's working on a couple of shows. But I know that whenever we have live events, and we want to try and do more of those, I'm quite sure that if these guys are available, whether it's Old Home Day or whatever else is coming up, I can call on them. And what's really nice is, while we're losing Lisa, who's been wonderful, I don't want to belittle, by the way, I don't want to take away from what she's been doing, because Lisa is now my independent study student. And anything that's come up, right, since the end of class, oh, Lisa, I want you to do this. Can you please do that? Something else to go along the idea of the CD the CD show that Richard did, the jazz show. We had a local resident who is a musician who had contacted the station. He either heard or saw somewhere, contact us, we'll play your music. And he contacted us and sent in a CD, and Lisa hooked up with him and got him to come in, and she did an interview, and he explained what the background to some of his music was, and then played selections from his CD. I had two other students who interviewed Barbara Mee because she had been featured in a couple of newspaper articles about a particular Irish tenor, I believe, who she used some of his music to go along with one of her classes. And she did an interview with two of my students. And again, she would talk about a particular song and the relevance and, how it was appropriate to her curriculum. And then we played the song. So that's, another direction that
Do
we
you want to
can move
mention the DC interviews?
Thank you. And last week, the Washington, D.C. trip, this is, I think, the third year, perhaps, maybe even the
Beast.
fourth year. We've had people calling in from the road.
We did it when we were in 8th grade, so it's been a while.
You called in when you were in 8th
Yeah,
grade?
I remember us
It
doing
has
that.
been
That
a
might have been
while.
the first year then.
Because these guys are juniors. So we have contacts every single day. We'd have a call. We would actually make the call, initiate the call, and we'd have a particular team that we'd be talking to a couple students, and they kind of report back. And, something like that's just a matter of coordinating, getting the right people there. And of course, live interviews, it's not always easy. Lisa, well, I know Lisa did one. I remember one of the days this past week wasn't the easiest. We had kids who weren't talking all that much. And so it would be, so how was it when you went to the monument? It was good. Okay. What'd you like about it? It's big. So sometimes you have to work with them a little bit more. But it's a great experience, and I am looking forward to a lot moving forward next year because we do have only a few seniors who are moving on and quite a few underclassmen who are remaining. Any other questions?
John, did you say, you good? I think that's it. Thank you so very much,
Thank you.
gentlemen.
And thank
Good
you
luck.
for all your help.
Lisa, thank you. Oh, come on.
Now I know why I never see her.
That's right, she's out there being
We
busy.
had another little piece of our presentation, but I'm going to forego it, looking at the time and not wanting to extend the board's agenda. But I would like to say, WLLO, Londonderry, we've got you covered. But we don't have Londonderry covered. And my other little presentation, I would like to come back to the board some evening and talk about, because of where our transmission equipment is and the size of our tower, which we put in preliminarily because of its affordability, and we were able to get that frequency on the FM dial, does not cover all of Londonderry. And we have 3 possible solutions that we'd like to look at, so we could increase the antenna height and therefore get better coverage to the south, east, and west of Londonderry and improve our saturation in our market. But again, given the amount of time, I don't want to get into that this evening, but I hope the board will give us an opportunity to come back and talk to you about that. We certainly are looking for an affordable solution, and one that we hope will not have impact on tax dollars, because we've done most of our work by grants and fundraising.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, so why don't you plan on coming back then in 2 weeks? Mark, if Nate's out of the room, can you just make sure that gets onto the agenda and
It will
whatever our next meeting
be
is?
very brief, but
That's
it will
fine.
give you an
No, I
idea
think it's important.
of the problems that we want to see if we can rectify.
I think that, the support is in these presentations and these gentlemen and Lisa and, those kind of folks sitting there. I know that
Right.
it's a valuable part of the things that we have to offer here for our kids. So.
And I think the reason we'd like to talk to you is because we think we're at the point where we've established a critical mass, and it's time to take the next step.
I
So
would
thank you
agree.
very
I look
much
forward to talking to you.
for your time tonight. Thanks.
Sue, thank you very much for everything that you do. We appreciate that. Okay, the chairman of the town council had actually called me earlier today and asked for a couple of minutes. Unfortunately, he did have to run out, but it's serendipity, I guess, because Mr. Young had called me a day or two ago about the same topic. So I will have Mr. Young speak to us in the announcements or presentation section for a minute.
For those of you that were going to leave early, I'd just like you to note that Nancy walked into the back of the room.
So we've now become like Pavlov's dogs, Nancy.
And Steve has his Ziploc bag. So we know what that means later in the meeting.
And Nate's guarding the cookies. He wouldn't give me one.
I've been tossing this around for a few weeks. I'm sure that some of you have read some conversations that I've had with the press, and it's not something that's foreign to us. We've talked about it before dozens of times. The two largest consumers of tax dollars in Londonderry is the town of Londonderry and the school system. Now, many people in town don't know that we're absolutely separate forms of government, and most people don't care. And actually, I don't think they need to, because they send their tax bills in every year. But I do know that they expect leadership and solutions from those that they elected to serve them. And in thinking about this, I think at this point in time, it's time for leadership. We've studied, we've talked about, we've had a subcommittees about cooperating or even combining organizations and functions on both sides of the house, this side and that side. I don't think we need to continue to study it. A few weeks ago, this came to me. Listen carefully. It's very simple. 10 to 5. Real easy. 10 leaders, 2 CEOs, and 5 substantial areas of cooperation. This dais sits 10 people. I'm proposing that we have 5 school board members and 5 town councilors, the town manager, the superintendent of schools at our sides. We sit here and we lead. First thing we do is we look at finding 5 clear areas where we can cooperate. We, the school board, and they, the town council, direct their CEO, in our case Nate, in their case Dave, to collaborate and to work together. I mean, frankly, these guys already do this quite often. And then the 2 chairmen, and Marty was going to be here for this, but I'm sure we'll be able to connect with him. The 2 chairmen agree to a date in the future where in this room, in public, we sit down and we talk over those options, and then we direct the only 2 people that we have the power to direct. The school board can only direct the superintendent on what to do. And the town council, by charter, can only direct the town manager on what to do. It's as simple as that. Now, I'm 1/5, but I'm interested in how the school board feels about this.
Comments? Ideas?
I'll start off. I think it's a great idea. I think it's, instead of forming a committee, I think having the 10 of us up here discussing it in public is the right way to go, and directing our CEOs to carry forth the plans is a better way of going than having a subcommittee and having a committee do for 6 months and then come back to us that we don't meet for another 6 months and it dies on the vine.
I agree. It's time to move forward, and this sounds like the most streamlined way to move forward.
Okay, and I certainly concur with that.
We're not going to call it a joint meeting.
So this what is it, 10 to 5? Sounds like a good idea. I wish Marty was able to stay. I know that I had seen him on TV last night talking about getting the board and the school district together to kind of talk about areas that we can focus on. It's something that I've talked about since I was elected here 4 years ago. We had the IT group get together, and that did not make the progress I would like to have seen, but it was some progress. I think this is another opportunity. I will approach Marty. It certainly appears that we've got a consensus.
No, we don't. I'd like to talk about it just for a couple of more minutes.
Absolutely.
You've been on the board for 4 years, or going on 4 years. I had 3. I was off for 3, and I'm back on, and Ron's been here for a number of years. I mean, this is a topic that's come up over and over. And based on our experience, can you readily identify an area where you think there may be significant savings between the town and the school districts? I mean, I am not opposed to the idea and concept, but, I mean, I only have X number of hours, and I just don't want to go through a process where we know that the outcome is essentially there is no savings. I mean, overlap. I mean, we've had the experience. We just went through a comprehensive budget analysis. Does anything come to your mind offhand where you see significant savings?
Let me use,
Let's talk about it before, pre-plan this before we go into this kind of meeting.
let me,
Are we talking about, and let me phrase it in terms of, are we talking about saving $5,000? Are we talking about saving $50,000? Are we talking about saving $500,000 between the two budgets? I mean, I'm not opposed to do it. I'll go through the process, but I'd like to have clearly defined what our objective is. If our objective is to identify $500,000 of savings between the two budgets, I'm on board. If we're going to come back with $5,000 or $10,000 of the savings, I mean, I don't need to go to that meeting. Nate and Dave Karen can take care of it. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be plain spoken. Well, I do mean to be plain spoken about it. So, I mean, does anything come to mind?
Well, there are items that have been brought up in the past. And by the way, I'm not looking for this to be a typical joint meeting where we talk about agenda items that are insignificant. I like this, like we handle our budget season, and we really do not deal with the tiny details and the $5,000 and, it's not like your typical town meeting where we talk about saving the cats for an hour and
Right.
we talk about
Well, for
millions of
example,
dollars.
Steve, we spend $120,000 on copy paper every year. Now, can you tell me that we're going to save 20% on copy paper if we buy copy paper with the town? I mean, is that a reasonable proposition? So can we pick up 25 grand right there?
I think that
We've studied this. We've gone through these. We've run these traps over the years. Have we missed something? Can we save 25% if we add whatever it is the town uses in copy paper?
I would say there is some savings if you do what would be called central or collaborative purchasing. I can't tell you it's $1, $100,000, but certainly, if we got together on some of the more common areas.
We did this, I mean, we
right.
went through this process
Right.
4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Being on both sides, I can tell you that particular departments, like police and fire will come to mind very quickly, have very specific needs of what they need to do. But certainly with the town hall in general, in us, there are some, I bet there's some collaborative efforts where we could put some central purchasing stuff together. And I can't tell you it's gonna be $1 or $2 or whatever, but I can't see why there wouldn't be some savings if you buy in volume, especially paper or that area.
Do you see what I mean? I don't want to talk in generalities. If we're going to do this, we're going to come back with some very specific numbers. I mean, if it's 100 grand, then we're going to find 100 grand. And I think that should be the goal. I don't want to go through the process with this, we're going to find some savings and just walk our way through it. If we're going to do this and the objective is to knock 100 grand or $250,000 out of the budget through shared savings, and we need to come back with that number.
Sure.
I mean, don't commit to something you can't do.
I understand.
Yeah, and I don't think it's unreasonable to set a goal that says, if we're gonna do this, this is what we expect to see at the end of that process.
Right.
I think that's very reasonable.
I don't disagree. I think that having a number goal is a worthwhile endeavor. But I also think we should be open to other forms of value creation, maybe in addition to finding ways to spend less money. There are things we can do better with the money that we save, and there are future costs that we can avoid through a
Any
collaborative
specifics?
process.
Do you have anything specific
Do I have
in
any
mind?
specifics? For example, let's start with the DARE program.
Okay.
The SRO programs. There are a number of places where the schools and towns work together. I mean, the thing about how to plow the sidewalk would have been an interesting thing to look at.
Now, we're talking about cost reductions, right? Excuse me,
No, please.
Well, I'm talking about cost reductions, cost avoidances, the whole gamut of ways that we can either reduce taxes, avoid taxes, or get more value for the taxes.
Those are three separate and distinct issues, and this conversation was about areas where we're able to reduce costs, not increase value per se.
I don't think that in a forward-going process where we will soon enough be looking at budgets for next year, and so will the town side, that cooperating to find ways to do things together that would avoid or diminish or lessen the cost impact is contrary to saving money. I think that if we set this up as an exercise where we can cut money out of the current budget, we're starting with the premise that the current budget, that we as a budget committee, town council, and school board failed to trim it as much
Well,
as we could.
Then I think that if we're going to do this, then you should be tasked with coming back with 5 or 6 specific areas where you believe there's value creation or cost reduction. Each of us should have that. So these are the specific areas that if we're going to have this meeting, we're going to walk out with identified value creation or cost reduction, so that we have specific goals out of that meeting.
I don't have a problem with that, but at the same time, I don't think that it's realistic to say that every idea and every possibility will be something that will be known to us before we go into the meeting, before we start the process.
I understand, but I'd like to have a roadmap into that meeting, as opposed to having no roadmap where we come out of the meeting with essentially an agreement to meet again at some future date to resolve this issue. So that's why it's better to have some idea as to what you want to accomplish out of the meeting. Take whatever objectives you have. I'm not belittling that. I think that's a good idea. But write them down. Tell me specifically what those value creation objectives are, so that when we have this meeting, we're working on John's 5 ideas, Ron's, mine, each member's ideas, and we're going to come back with something.
I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, I'm not opposed to go on a fishing expedition to see if there's a way that we can save money.
I'm opposed to fishing. I'm opposed to a fishing expedition. I don't want to tie up the council's time and our time looking for some elusive golden goose that doesn't exist. So, but I'm not opposed to doing this if we have a roadmap into the process and come back with specific goals. I mean, it's just a different approach to the same problem, perhaps. But my approach would be, okay, if it's going to be copy paper, we're going to reduce copy paper by 25%. And we're going to show a tangible result. And if you've got some other ideas that you can live with, you sign them up and we're going to live with them.
I don't think that what you're asking for is not at all different from what I was saying. It's this board directs Nate on the items that we're interested in. I mean, I picked the number 5. I actually started with 3, but I ended up coming up with more as I thought more about it. And we take our ideas, our 5 ideas, or come up with 5, give them to Nate. Nate goes to Dave, and then Dave and Nate say, yes, it's possible, or it is possible, or isn't possible, and the specifics on why it would be or why it wouldn't be. And the town council does the same. And instead of forming subcommittees and study committees and spending time in a joint meeting, which the other point on this was that the goal is we will have the 2 chairmen set a meeting, and in that meeting date, we go in, we have the conversation, and the exit point on that meeting, our CEOs get the direction on what they're supposed to do. I'm not going to set up another meeting date. I don't look at this as a joint meeting. And all deference to the budget committee, I was on it, and I think that we do need the joint meetings where the budget committee, the town council, and the school board are together. But I want this to be an action-oriented session and come out of it with, and it may come out with it, we can't agree on anything. And there are no places to save money. You want specific examples? I'll give you one. the energy savings that the school district has gone through. We've talked about making a difference. We've talked about sharing that with the town. We've talked about helping them, but it hasn't been implemented. The town now has a study group that's looking at energy issues. Our students are involved with it. That's fantastic. But the person that saved us millions of dollars on energy isn't involved with it. And that's the conversation I want to have in that meeting. So that's one specific item that I don't think is $20,000 or $30,000. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars that we can save this community.
George?
Chairman, oh, yep, one second. I just want to, Marty, we're actually talking about a concept that involves the town council, setting up a meeting with very specific objectives and what we expect both Nate and Dave to accomplish. And I'm sorry we didn't get to it while you were here earlier, but I'm glad you're back again. And we're actually just chatting about what we expect out of that meeting, I think is where we're leaning, right, Ben? And Ron, I'm sorry, Ben, you wanted to respond to?
Not specifically respond, but we go through this process, and the idea is that, and the idea that's projected is that there is some inefficiency between the town and school district because we're not working together. Now, you've identified a very good objective, but that's not the kind of, it is an if it exists, it is an efficiency, and it's one that can be rectified by the town on its own initiative. There's nothing that we can do by turning off more lights that will reduce the electric consumption at Town Hall. Ideas like purchasing, group buying, to the extent that those exist, are ideas where we're sharing resources. If we were, consolidating IT departments for one reason or another, and possibly those kinds of ideas, take existing resources that are available to both sides and recombining or using those resources in a way that reduces our costs. Now, that was where I thought we started with. And if that's the type of project we're working on, then my recommendation would be that we have Nate come back with 2 or 3 areas that he believes by working with the town, we can reduce our costs by some significant number. Or he comes back and says, no, those areas don't exist. And we start from there. But if the town wants to reduce their power consumption, they can do that starting this afternoon, if they so desire. There's got to be some reason why that's not happening, and that's to be resolved by the town side. Whatever we do on our side will not have an impact on their electric usage. So that's how I would draw the distinction. That's a very good idea. I would just think it's distinct from what we're trying to accomplish through this concept of 2 entities working together to reduce costs.
Ben, as I look at this, I think there's some conceptions in the community, right or wrong, and I think this committee kind of will put them, not this committee, the boards, will put it to rest, and we do it. I think IT is one area, facility management is a second area. Those are 2 that I think that are areas that there's a perception that we duplicate services in both of those areas. So I think the job is either we come back and there is a savings available to the community, or we have it come back as I say, there is no savings because we're being efficient as we can, even though we're 2 organizations, there's no duplication of efforts. That is what I'm looking at, and we say, we studied it, here's the report that the 2 CEOs put together, why it's the most efficient way we're doing it now, or there's $100,000 or $150,000 worth of savings. That is what I was looking at this, because there's always, as I've gone to meetings, you hear, well, if you guys combine services, it would make it work and be cheaper on us. We got to put that to bed at once and for all, because I hear it at different meetings at all levels, that there's this perception out there, and you say, and those are the 2 that comes to mind as the major ones that come up. That's my perception of this, that you put it to bed and says, no, we studied it and we went from there.
And we know how all this ends.
But the answer is, I believe there may be some, and we've talked about it in the area of IT.
Right.
And we spoke about it, and we have to look, I think we need to look at it from that point of view. And I think I think there could be savings, but you have to have an organization, well, we're getting into problem solving. I don't want to get there. I think that those are two areas I think that I would see that the two administrators would look at and say how it can work for both of them and meet the needs.
Well, someone needs to come up with a plan how we can either do that or come back to us and say that we've looked at it again and status quo stays the same.
Okay.
Are you feeling?
I'm not qualified to look at the IT department or facilities and make those judgments. I mean, that's.
And I'm not either, but that's what we're expecting I'm expecting the two people to look at it because they've got a more detailed knowledge of how it's run, how it would have to be organized, and stuff like that.
And I expect them to go to the people that can make those decisions.
I also think that we have a role of representing the taxpayers in driving or being involved in overseeing that process.
But, you know, can I continue?
Absolutely.
You know, we go through the budget process each year in great detail. We take the presentations from each one of the IT, each department. We make value judgments at that point in time, whether or not we want to invest funds in those specific activities. We looked at the utilization rates on those activities, and we come forward with a budget. Now, that's the process that we've gone through already. It's a very public process. It's on TV. We go through it in great detail. And now, I guess we're asking the superintendent and the business administrator to do it again.
No, I think what we're asking them to do is, in light of our existing budget, work with the town and find those areas that may be working separately we didn't find.
Okay.
And that's all we're asking them to do,
Right.
is look at that. Although I like your thought process that out of this, we want to see X dollars or X percent or whatever it is. And you're right, at that point you say, $5,000, it's not worth
Right.
expending any more resource to get to this. And then the answer to the questions that Ronnie and others face is, you know what, we've looked at this up one side and down the other, and honestly, we run most efficiently the way that we do, as does the town.
Okay. Well, if we're going to do this, I suggest that we come back with a specific dollar attainment goal. And on the other side, we would want to know what the changes in programming and services offered on the school district side, what they would be in order to provide this kind of reduction.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we've got to understand all of that. Marty, I know you, unfortunately, came in and kind of in the middle of this, but can you get a sense for where we're driving?
Yeah,
towards?
I'm sorry I missed it.
No,
earlier.
it's
I was
understandable.
playing taxi driver, but I'd like to say, first of all, I want to put to rest any notion that we don't think that Nate and David don't talk to each other. They're always talking to each other. They're always working on. They've come up with things that they don't even come to us with. They just do, okay, and that's their job, and they should be doing that. The biggest elephant in the room is IT. Everybody thinks that that's the easiest thing to do because software is software is software. It's not. We all know that. Okay? Some people out there don't understand that. Hardware is hardware is hardware. That's not true either. Not everything is compatible. Not everything that we have. I mean, the fire department uses something different than the police department. Our business administrators may use something totally different and program it differently than you use, Peter. And I totally understand that. I think what the council wanted to do is just to put into motion something that we could say is a goal of ours, to try and achieve some kind of savings. And we don't know what number to put on it. And again, like you said, if it's $5,000, maybe it's not worth the whole effort that we're going to go through. But we would like to, with your permission, again, to encourage Nate and David to get together and try and look at other possibilities of savings. I'm going to throw this out, and I'm not even sure that it hasn't already been done, but it is. Just an example, something I thought of is, we use copy paper, you use copy paper. We buy it together, we save money. Okay, it may not be a lot, but it's, maybe that's something. I don't know if that's one of the objectives. If we save $3,000 by doing that, is that worth doing? I don't know. I really don't know, but we'd like them to talk about it, and we wanted two counselors to be available to them, and hopefully two board members be available to them to discuss the ideas without taking of all 5 of you and all 5 of us at the same time. You know, if they come up with something and they have some ideas, run it by the 2 councils, run it by the two school board members, and decide where you go from there. We're not telling you what to do. We're not coming up with any specific, we don't know what the dollar value would be. We have no idea. And I don't know what area. But you mentioned something earlier, and I think you're absolutely, you almost got there. I think it's something that should be done every year. I mean, you know, maybe it wasn't right the year before, maybe it is right this year. But that's not something for us to demand. It's something just to expect of Nate and Dave. You know, it says, you know, maybe we can't do it this year, but maybe next year when this contract comes up or that contract comes up, we can negotiate it together. That's great. I mean, that's something they should be doing together anyway. And I'm sure you do anyway, Nate. But I was asked to come forward and present the goal that we have, and that is to try and find areas to save taxpayers, okay? Not just town taxpayers, but school taxpayers, just taxpayers. All right, and wherever that goes, if you have ideas, as Ben pointed out, I mean, if that's where you want to go, that's fine too. We have nothing specific.
Right.
Nothing at all. We just want to continue the dialogue of going in that vein of trying to find the ways to save money.
Yeah, and I think, Marty, we're not far off. I think the approach differs a little bit. I think what Steve is suggesting, I think that most of us are looking towards is just getting together at one time, figuring those areas out and say, Nate, Dave, go figure this out. And if you can't do it, and I think Ben's got a very valid point that sits there and says, you know, we the 10 of us expect that, you know, just our thought process is you should be able to find it 125,000 or whatever that number is. And I'm not, you know, gonna speculate what it is, but I think it's a very valid goal to try to achieve that and let them come back and say, well, we can't do it, and these are all the reasons why, or you know what, we did one better. I mean, so I think the approach, like I said, is different. The goal is obviously the same.
Right. I mean, in the grander scheme of things, $100,000 versus the total tax amount that we spend, the budgets of the two, doesn't seem significant, but, you know, every little bit helps, right?
I
So
agree.
if we
I'll take it.
save here, save
I agree
there,
with you.
we'll take it, you know, whatever we can find. And not only that, that savings could be used for other things we're not doing, that we put off because we couldn't do it, so.
Okay.
Anyway, that's all I need to say. And
Great.
I just got one thing I want to add
Yeah.
while I'm here. I don't have any Leo awards to hand out, but I want to compliment, oh, she's not here. I want to compliment South School on a fantastic production. The 5th and 6th grade drama club just did The Wizard of Oz, and I got to tell you something, the interpretation of it, the presentation of it was fantastic. I know the kids had a ball, and both nights were packed. So it was a really, really well done, and I just want to compliment them and let you know that they've done a wonderful job there.
We appreciate that. Thanks,
Thank you
Marty.
very much, Ron.
Appreciate that.
Anything else you got before I leave?
No, I think that was, you know, I'm glad we got the opportunity and you were able to make it back. So I correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, Marty,
but
I'm sorry you weren't here when I went through this. What I'll do is I'll email this to you so that you
Okay.
had what I said, but we're very, very close.
And we are working on trying to get a joint session, and it's not us hosting, it's really supposed to be.
Well, yeah, and this is kind of moving off, that's right.
3 of us will try and find dates
Yeah.
so we can get that done.
Right.
Did you mention, I'm sorry, and maybe I'll do this now, I'll formally invite you to come to the presentation of the Housing Task Force.
Yep, haven't gotten there
When
yet.
they give it on the 12th. It would be a great benefit if you were there, because it does, you know, whatever comes out of it, there's a lot of information, and we've invited all the boards and committees that should be there that hear this as a one-time opportunity, one presentation versus it being presented 9 or 10 different times, okay? And have everybody there to get a dialogue together, to hear what other people think at the same time. So please, my invitation to you, please formally come if you can. Okay.
Thanks, Marty.
Marty, just to let you know, the May 12th is the baseball game or the retirement baseball game for Jim Elefanti over at the Fisher Cats. I think several board members and Nate will be.
Oh,
So
well,
just
sorry
to give you
about
a head-
that, but all right.
Just to let you know up front. It's
Well,
not that
it
we're
will be
missing
taped, it will be shown again, but definitely any representation that would be there would be great. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Marty. So I think what I'm hearing, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Ben, as long as we've got very specific objectives and goals, which I think we're all trying to achieve, then I think I can speak with Marty and find a date and move forward. We're comfortable with that?
Sure.
Okay.
Let me
Yeah,
ask you,
I
let me
I
ask
like
you
the
a
dollar
question.
figure very much.
Should we
yeah.
have a agenda item to come up with, 4 or 5 between ourselves before we do that? Maybe set that up for one of the meetings before we
Good
set up the
idea.
joint meeting?
Yep, we can
And
do
then
that.
each come
So,
with our
Nate,
ideas and see if we can narrow it down.
Yeah, can you do that
Yeah, I think if you're gonna, just listening to what everybody say,
quickly?
you're gonna look at some areas, then to pick up also on what Ben was saying is, you've gotta put some kind of qualifier on it. You know, you're saying, here, this is the target. And at this point, it's arbitrary, but at least if in fact we're gonna proceed ahead, then when I meet with Dave and we pull our people together and we look at it, we say, yeah, you could combine this, but the net savings is gonna be $5,000 and hey, we're gonna lose this in the way of service. Or, here's a simple list of 25 things that we can do that are gonna generate X amount of dollars. This is not a big issue, so just to use the example that was used here. Yeah, we can buy copy paper together, we can buy toner together, we can do this, that, and the other thing, and you're gonna pick up, that's just administrative stuff that I don't think you need so big an action plan on it, you know, it's just odds and ends.
Okay, so if you can get that onto a agenda in the very, very, very near future.
Sure.
So that we can get this going and we can start making some progress going forward. We're still in the questions, announcements, public comment. So is there any public comment? Okay, any other announcements? Nate, anybody? And we will,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the consent agenda. Before we move forward, we do have one retirement this week, and that is Fran Pitterak, a teacher at Matthew Thornton. And Fran's taught the students in Londonderry for 34 years. Her dedication to the children in our community is greatly appreciated. Fran's ability to meet the diverse needs of each of the students in her class each year has been her greatest strength. She never misses a detail in reference to a child, and also manages to keep on top of the adults in the building as well. Yeah, you could be in trouble next year, Carol. I don't know. The Matthew Thornton community will sorely miss her diligent approach to teaching, her calm and professional manner, and her desire to provide a solid foundation in education for each of the students in her class. On behalf of the board, we wish Fran the very best in her retirement, and we wish her well. So, Fran, congratulations, and we will miss you. We've also got meetings May 6th, May 20th, both at 7 p.m. in this office. So I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0, Mary. Moving right along then to committee reports. Student Council, the award winner.
Well, election meetings have been held for all students who are interested in running for position in the classes, or this past Monday was student councils, and from what I hear, I wasn't able to go, but a bunch of students showed up who have been leaders in the past year and are ready and willing to take leadership positions next year. And elections will be held next week, I think. 2 weeks. Next week's vacation. And Mr. LHS is this Thursday, and the whole school is looking forward to that. I know I am. A group of gentlemen make quite a show, to say the least. Last year there was ribbon twirling and peanut butter eating, and all in the name of school spirit. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. And school board, Ben?
I don't have anything.
Ron?
Nothing.
Steve?
Oh, that's bad. Because I missed special education meeting last week for the first time ever.
I went, I just
Okay.
don't remember, I'll be honest.
Maybe it'll come back to you. on the
Maybe it'll come back.
second go-round.
Old age is terrible.
Yeah,
True.
that was the only meeting that I had with the school system, and I did miss that one. So to make up for that, I'll just ask camera one to cover the picture here. Just a reminder, the warm homes.
That camera.
Oh, that camera. Well, see, now I can't read the date. So it's May 3rd, the Warm Homes, it's a,
Cinco de Mayo party.
yeah, Cinco de Mayo party. No, it's a Saturday. I was looking at the date, because it is a vacation kind of thing. Time.
It's now on that camera.
Oh, now see, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna put this up at warmhomes.org tomorrow morning, so you can take a look at it and find it out there. That's warmhomes.org. And in addition to that, Remax is running a yard sale, which goes on the same day in the morning. And I made this huge sign with all the details on it and gave it to them for free, but I don't remember what it said. It's on the side of a trailer, so if everybody can go out, and there's this huge container down at Crossroads Mall. If you look at that, it'll give you all the details of the of that too, which I'll also put on the warmhomes.org website in the morning. Thank you.
And John?
A correction from something I said at our previous meeting regarding a local team of homeschoolers. I said that they were involved in DI. In fact, they're involved in the Lego League Championship, and I'd like to take the opportunity to read portions of a press release into the record here. The Inventioneers, the reigning New Hampshire State First Lego League team, earned a Research Innovation Award at the first Lego League World Festival in Atlanta, Georgia last week. The group of 9 students, aged 10 to 14, impressed the judges with their patent-pending solar-powered roofing design and their community education program. The 2-day competition included 81 teams from 24 countries. Additionally, the team's coaches, Lisa Evarts and Luan Heimlich, were both awarded the World Festival Coach Adult Mentor Award of the Year award. They were nominated not only by the team, but also by the judges. The Inventioneers are anxious to return to New Hampshire and their energy conservation projects. Their first goal is to complete an energy audit of the Londonderry Senior Center in their role as members of Londonderry's Energy Efficiency Task Force. I wonder, Mr. Chairman, if it would be appropriate to ask that we invite these kids to an upcoming meeting to discuss what they're doing in their Lego League endeavors in general.
Absolutely. Make it so, Mr. Superintendent.
Okey
Please.
dokey.
I think it's I, Captain.
Engage.
Thanks, John, appreciate that. And the only thing that I had, actually, Marty touched on, and that for anybody in the public who is interested, the Housing Task Force has completed its work. The report is probably going to be emailed very quickly to the superintendent, the boards, and other interested parties here in town. As Marty said, that meeting will be held on May 12th. Unfortunately, I don't think many of us will be able to attend, but we'll get that information as we're all out watching the Fisher Cats or the Elefantes beat whoever they may be playing that evening. And that
It was.
I thought it was, yeah.
Well, I didn't know it was a surprise.
not anymore.
Not anymore.
Well, at least you did it first.
I did it first.
So 2 of the Stooges are here, not all 3. Okay? Oh, yeah. But now comes the favorite part. Where is she? Nancy.
Okay. Wait, before
Hey,
Nancy gives a
cookies.
report, it's the bride.
Don't spill them.
Don't drop that tray.
I'll be the server.
When I found out, when I spoke to Nate earlier, Nancy, I want you to know I had to make sure the IT people stayed away, or else there would have been nothing left for the rest of us.
I gave them their own little special
Oh, you
box
did?
today.
Oh.
I needed to butter them up for something.
Well, that's, listen, it always works.
It always works here, so I figured.
Put it down there, I'll forget it, and then I'll be in big trouble.
I guess, excuse me. Since it's the superintendent's report, I guess we'll have to wait for him to come back.
No, that's okay.
Nancy, you can start.
Oh, I'm just organizing myself.
Okay.
It takes longer these days.
Yeah, I think we're
Well, I
finding
put
that out.
gas in my car today. It cost me nearly $50. I have a tiny little Subaru,
car, yeah.
and it just killed me. But as we all know, gas is what is driving our economy right now, and food prices are no different. Not only is fuel driving it, but intended shortages are causing problems for us, as well as shipping food to India and China. Most notable is grain and corn and milk byproducts. All of those things being said, we are seeing extreme increases in those areas. Bread has gone up 10%, milk about 25 to 35%. And that's overall for the year. We're starting to see some declines in the price of milk now, but when we started the school year, we started out at nearly 23 cents per carton. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot to you, but when you're getting a lunch for $1, you're getting paid $1.25 for a lunch, that's 20% of the cost of the lunch, or the income that is received from the lunch. So that doesn't, then when you count your labor, I now have about 50 cents to produce the rest of the school lunch meal. It's getting harder and harder to do that. Schools' lunch programs across the United States have been in the news as of the last 2 to 3 weeks. Many schools are changing their menus in order to meet their budget. Not only are they changing their menus, but they're foregoing the healthful approach that so many have taken. Buying whole grains, adding more fresh fruits and vegetables, all those things cost a lot. And those are the prices that have gone up and have affected our food budget. In addition, we have realized about a $12,000 decline in sales at the high school, mostly seen in a la carte sales. That, coupled with the $25,000 extra that we are paying for milk, that wiped out the possibility of a small profit that I had anticipated back in October. I have the pro forma that I produced back in October, and my goal for the year was to land a $36,800 profit, which we will see none of. That hurts, and that is hurting our future. If you look at the one that I've produced for today, which has the anticipated end of the year projection, and if you look at the line items that, and compare them to the actual of '07, you'll see milk is up about $23,000. Food is up about $50,000. And sales are down about 40. No. They look like they're up. But I don't think they will be. Labor is holding its own and staying very steady. And supplies are up due to a purchase of school trays that I made back in September. I hadn't bought any for a while, and they break, so it was time to buy new ones. I got a good price, so I bought a lot. If you turn to the year-to-date, you'll note that as of the end of February, we were still holding on to a $37,000 loss. And the good news there is I have the March figures, and at the end of March, we are only showing a $19,000 loss. So we are coming out of our hole, and I anticipate that by the end of the year, we will be at zero. Price increases, we had a price increase in 2005, my first year here. And I believe that one of the reasons we were able to produce so much profit was the benefit that we had from the cooperative purchasing group that we belong to. I did a survey of a school that does not belong to our co-op and asked them for pricing. And for instance, chicken nuggets, the exact same brand at the other school are 34 cents a serving. At Londonderry, they're 24 cents a serving. So we're saving 10 cents a serving there. Another notable would be chicken tenders. At the other school are 64 cents a serving. In Londonderry, they are 34 cents a serving. Chicken patties, again, 34 cents at the other school, 24 cents in Londonderry. So we're saving a significant amount of money, and I think that's why the 10 cents has been able to do us well for so long. Other schools in the state are averaging $2.08 for a high school lunch, $2 for a middle school lunch, and $1.76 for an elementary school lunch. We receive $1.25 for an elementary school lunch, $1.50 and $1.75, offering a premium meal at the $1.75 for both middle and high school. So you can see that we're considerably lower than all the other districts, especially those that surround us. I like Bedford's the best because they're getting $2.60 for their high school lunch. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Other schools in the co-op are considering a price increase to about $2 for a high school lunch next year. We are going to hang on one more year. I think that by next year, we'll probably have dried up our surpluses. We'll be able to do the South School building equipment project, and we'll be looking for an increase next year.
How much of an increase will you think you'll be at looking?
Well, I think $1 a meal would be great, don't you?
Okay. Give me them
No.
cookies. Pass them down. I haven't had enough yet.
I'm gonna try, I'd like to look at a quarter and what that will do to our meals, but at this time, I'm not ready to commit.
Okay.
My biggest concern is, as fuel prices have driven so much, our bid pricing for this year has been unaffected. I'm expecting those bid prices to go very high this year. So it's going to depend on what that does. And I will know in June just exactly what our pricing is going to be doing for next year.
Okay, I'll come back to it then. John?
Go ahead.
No, that's fine.
Okay. I'm concerned when you mentioned that the a la carte sales have decreased. I wonder if that is a sign of people having less money to give their kids for school lunches.
It could be. But it's just
So I wonder.
It's just at the high school.
I wonder what the price elasticity, price sensitivity is in terms of raising costs, how that will impact. I mean, I recognize that costs are increasing, and I'm certainly not disputing that. But at the same time, as you mentioned, a gallon of gas might as well cost $50 these days. Food riots around the world, increasing numbers of increasing quantities of crops that used to go to food going to ethanol, things
Right.
like that, are all driving prices up. And I just wonder, even in spite of that, whether we're going to be hitting parents with an increase that's going to hurt. I mean, Okay, raising it a quarter. But when you multiply it through by 3 kids by how many days a week and stuff like that, it could begin to add up. And I'm just concerned in terms of this combination of pressures that are affecting the school district as an organization and the taxpayers, all of us as individuals, and whether and how we balance the competing needs.
The part of the issue with a school lunch program is that you like to run it as a self-sustaining entity as much as possible. When Nancy came on, and because of really basically her efforts, we have seen a significant increase in participation. And that's obviously one way to raise revenue. I think our school district basically has pretty much hit a saturation point as far as participation is concerned, with the balance between kids that come and buy school lunch versus the ones that bring lunch to school. With the increasing cost of commodities and the fact that it's just going to cost us more to purchase flour or whatever, there are really only 2 other ways in which you can address that increasing cost. One is by increasing the price on the school lunch, or the school district subsidizing the school lunch, in the sense that you wind up picking up, if your goal is to keep costs based on the conditions that we have now, keep the cost of the school lunch as it is now, and to absorb the increasing cost of commodities and food, there are 2 ways of doing it. You increase the cost of the school lunch, or the school district, in a sense, through tax dollars, makes a contribution, in a sense, to the school lunch program. How do you do that? You pick up the cost of some salaries or whatever. Those are really, at this point for us, because participation, I think, has reached pretty much its tip-over point because of all the work that Nancy has done. So unless there's a drop in commodity costs, the only way you're going to be able to pick up the additional money is by increasing the cost of the lunch, or the district picking up some of the costs of the school program.
Can I
That's
just-
really the only 2 ways you got left.
I just want to say one thing in considering the price increase. It's been my experience that you may lose about 15% the first year, and that is recovered by the second year. But nowadays, I'm not so sure, because, for instance, turkey is $6 a pound in the grocery store. If you want to send your child to school with a turkey sandwich, a loaf of bread is almost $4. 2 ounces of turkey is about 50 cents. They're going to buy milk, or they have to have a beverage, whether the parent chooses to send a beverage, which may cost more than that. I mean, you break down the price of a school lunch versus what's coming from home, you do get a healthier choice from what's being offered at school. You also have a nice convenience. So it is still going to be an excellent value. And I believe that we offer a wide variety of foods that the children enjoy, and that we may see a dip in participation, but I suspect that by the end of the year, we would see that fall back to normal standards.
I agree with what you're saying, that it may well turn out to still be the best deal in town. But at a intuitive level, I was going to say at a gut level, everybody can laugh. At a gut level, I just don't feel that we can sit here and talk about raising a cost of something without at least raising the question of how it's going to impact the kids trying to buy it. To what Superintendent Greenberg said, I agree with him mostly. The one area that I'd add is, in addition, or when commodity costs go up, you naturally want to look at the other costs that are involved in the program, in the process, and see if there are ways to drive some of them down. One thing that was mentioned in your presentation was the upgrade of equipment at South, I think it was. And I kind of wonder if we're getting into a time of soaring food costs, maybe it's more important to do what we can to mitigate that impact and maybe put off the South thing for a year or two.
John, the kitchen does not meet the present food service codes. So we're looking to upgrade that kitchen so that it meets codes.
John, one of the things, I mean, it's a two-part option. One is to piggyback the kitchen renovations along with the South School project, i.e., while we're there, we get some economies of scale of doing all the work, whether it's the kitchen, the modular classrooms, the nurse's office, or whatever. Second, you may or may not know, most of the equipment down there is still, I use the word original, i.e., it's there when the school was built. Some of it's like 20 years old. That's one of the reasons why we're trying to address South School. We did the same procedure at North School, and now it's time to get South School done. It's a capital investment of about $68,000. It's a one-time. Over the long run, it should bring down the annual cost of repairs and maintenance or whatever. But one of the reasons why we're doing it, as Nancy meant, is while we're there, we were told while you're doing renovations, there were several things that had to be addressed as code violations when renovating South School.
I understand. I wasn't aware of the code violations, and I apologize for that. But at the same time, when we talk about economies of scale, it is clear that there are things that will be cheaper to do today than next year, or cheaper to do in a bundle with other things now rather than doing them on their own a few years out. But I continue to look at what it costs to put gas in the truck and buy loaves of bread. And I can't help wondering if maybe we have to get along with what we have now to a greater degree and hope that the future will bring better economic times when we might be able to spend more of the money on things that might not have seemed discretionary last year, but may have to look discretionary now.
Thanks, John. Ronnie?
Nancy, when you come back and talk about an increase in the price of lunches, and I understand that there's a need for that, I'd like to see several options. I wouldn't want us to jump to a quarter immediately. Is there a couple, 5 cents, 5 cents, 5 cents to mitigate the cost of that? Because I think there'll be a drop-off in the lunches over time. So I'm not looking to make it all up in one bite. As you did here in the first one, you went 10 cents, and that seemed to take care of it. So I'd like to look at it in incrementals and not go to 25 cents immediately right now.
Nope, not a problem.
The concern about that for me is, and you know, again, I mean, there's a lot of speculation.
Excuse me, it's not an option. I'm asking for several options on how to
No,
present it.
I know that.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that part of the reason why the 10 cents did us so well was because of the purchasing power of the cooperative.
I think the reason the 10 cents did you so well is that you increased the sales from $750,000 to over $1 million.
Right.
I mean, and the cost per meal went down. If I remember the discussion at that time, is the cost for preparing the meal was down significantly over that period of time.
Right. So when we come back in September, October, we'll have 2 or 3 pricing scenarios and impacts or projected impacts of what it'll be, and the board will select which one best fits the, right.
And take a look at, take a look at some of the other options that we may have in delaying.
We'll obviously
capital
have.
improvements where possible, not without, I don't want to not fix things that are in violation, not fix things that are going to affect the quality or efficiency, frankly.
And we'll have a better perspective of if the food prices are continuing to escalate, and we'll have up-to-date pricing of the surrounding towns, well, school districts.
Food prices continue. Stephen and Ben.
Nate, I don't want to take the time tonight, but I would be interested in the future meeting to hear about any kind of outreach program that we have for free and reduced lunch.
Sure.
In order to capture those students that might be hungry.
Steve, Ben?
I had a question on the purchase of the food products for the lunches. How is that done? Is it done on a semi-annual basis, or do you buy annually for the school year? You buy some base amount and then make incremental purchases?
When we, I'm in a purchasing cooperative with what for next year will be 14 schools.
And
Districts.
volume improves your pricing?
Absolutely. And we have, established our criteria for our bid and have submitted those to several companies. And then in June, I think it's June 3rd, right here in this room, we'll be opening the bids from the companies that are presenting.
Now,
Those are firm prices for 1 year.
okay, so can you do multi-year bids?
We've looked at that as a group because there are some vendors that we prefer to do business with, but we felt that by offering it out every year that we are getting more competitive bidding.
So, but would it be competitive if you said, we'd like to get a 2-year bid? Are there not as many vendors for 2 years? Is that what you're saying?
No, there would be price increases after the second year because for our first bid, we do have an option to renew for a second year. We've put a clause into our specifications allowing that, but we've never exercised it based on the fact that we think that we've just gotten more competitive pricing based on putting it out to bid annually.
Nancy, let me ask this. I'm not that familiar with it. Would it be possible for the cooperative to put out a request for 2 different bids? One would be for 1 year and the other would be for a multi-year or 2-year. And then you could compare and contrast. So you may, in fact, wind up on flour, a 2-year deal is a better deal than a 1-year deal would be, and it might not be the same on chicken nuggets, just to pick
Right.
an example. So it might allow you to mix and match. And that way, you might have a company that's looking to lock in for 2 years, and if they've got a guarantee on the second year, they maybe give you some kind of price break. We do that on some other things that we put out to bid. So if you could bring that back to the cooperative and say, when we put out the bids, what we want is a 1-year bid and also a multi-year bid. And then since you're getting it from multiple vendors, you may decide that vendors A, B, and C for products E, F, and G, you're better off locking in a price for 2 years. And some other bidders may say, well, flour is so volatile at this point, we're not going to give you a bid on a second year.
Right.
We'll give you one. But it just opens up another avenue, and just to see what happens. It may be beneficial, it may not be beneficial.
I don't think we can do that this year because the bids have already gone out
All right.
for the opening, but I can certainly suggest that. The other thing that we do have in our bid is an escalation clause, so that if a particular product does increase significantly throughout the year, they have to show documentation, but they can raise their price. And that was one reason why we were looking at renewing a bid with the other company for a second year, was because we knew if there were some products that needed to be raised, that they had the escalation clause to help them and be, we want to present ourselves as good customers as well as wanting a good deal from the company. So we want to give them a chance to recap their price if they can, their costs. Did I not say that right?
Probably not, but that's okay. I think I
All right,
understand.
we can sort that issue out later. I had one other question. With regard to your co-op, you had indicated that larger volume resulted in lower price. Are you at that optimum point in terms of volume, or does it make sense to try to increase the volume of the co-op And would we have lower prices as a result of that?
Well, we started out as a group. This co-op has been going on for about 10 years. I think we started out with 6 or 8 schools. And when I was at Pinkerton, I was one of the original people that formulated the co-op. Gradually, we advertised to bring in more schools, and we took in, we started out with Salem, Nashua, Manchester, Pinkerton, Derry, not Laconia, Portsmouth. I'm not sure how many I mentioned, but I think those were the ones. Then the second year, we brought in Laconia, and then I believe we brought in the third year Franklin, Oyster River, and Somersworth, some small school districts. And a couple of years ago, we were looking to expand again, but I really pushed them not to accept schools of too small a size, drop size, that would not benefit the co-op. So we have limited.
Let me put it a different way. If we married up with Manchester or Nashua, and
We had some problems with Manchester and the co-op.
what about Nashua?
Nashua was in the co-op, and their school board wanted her to bid out on her own.
Well, back to the original question. Would increased volume result in lower prices
We
for
are
us?
increasing our volume. We've just taken on, we added Pelham, Wyndham last year, and we're adding Exeter this year to make us 14 schools.
Depends on where you add the volume. If you add a small school up in, say, the Lakes region, it doesn't become cost-effective for the co-op to bid on and have a truck go up to a small school exclusive of the area. So the answer, I think, is yes, but depends on the size of the school and where it's located.
Our criteria is has established a $1,000, I think it's a $1,000 minimum drop size. So that's how we allow schools, if they can meet the drop size, then we'll consider having them into the co-op.
Yep, Steve?
Can you cross the border?
Excuse me?
Can you cross the border?
Can I cross the
We're
border?
closer to Massachusetts than we are to Laconia.
Oh. We haven't invited Massachusetts people. They have their own, they have a statewide co-op. I believe they get state pricing, or they have other large co-ops. And we've, especially at the beginning when we were starting out, we did a lot of discussion with those other co-ops. And we've tried to keep ours a little simple. Theirs is a little big, and it's, quite frankly, a little crazy.
George, could we maybe ask the superintendent to maybe explore this area, either in terms of if there's additional depth there, if volumes go up, or multi-years, just maybe.
Well, yeah, I think we can have him work with Nancy in the co-op. I mean,
Great.
obviously, we don't control the co-op, so
Right.
just let's keep that in mind.
We have
so.
relationships with other school boards, and
Right.
if that's something that would help, if it was one you targeted and you wanted in this group, maybe we could.
Well, it's interesting that there are some directors that are not interested, even though there's price savings, they're not interested in being a member.
Okay.
They like to do their own thing.
Yeah,
And-
maybe those school boards would be interested.
Well, we might not be interested in them in our group.
Well, that's,
too.
I mean, there's always a balance to be struck,
Wanna
but
have
I think it's
you
something.
want to have someone who's going to work and be cooperative with you. And
Understood.
can, we've all worked very well together and compromised a few things, and, we have tastings on foods, and, we're constantly rechecking product to make sure it's all what we want and what we agree on. And there have been people who have come in like a bull in a china shop, and we've not wanted to have them in our
Sure.
co-op.
Okay, so Nate, if you could start exploring some of that. And Nancy, thank you so much.
Okay.
You're through. Thanks for the cookies, as always.
Good cookies.
They're always good cookies.
Very good.
Oh, yeah, but I've never been up here to get them before.
Well, that's true. I was gonna say, we might wanna have to start printing more if you really like them, because.
Well, no, that's okay.
I always take my share. All right, Peter. Third
Yes.
quarter.
Yep, you have in front of you my report on the financial picture of the school district. I'll go through it briefly.
Thank you.
Overall, the financial picture of the school district as we head in towards the end of fiscal year 2008 is very good. We will return at the end of this fiscal year a net of $500,000 to fund balance at year end. The one area of concern, as I noted, and we'll go through in a minute, is the revenue side of the ledger. The expense side is projected to come under budget by a little over $600,000, which obviously helps the revenue side and the overall picture of coming in with a $500,000 net. Keep in mind that the $500,000 is important for a variety of reasons, and not the fact that we used or projected $500,000 as a revenue source for the FY09 tax rate as we calculated that tax rate. Table 1 shows the balance of all the trust funds and the impact fees as of March 31st. To want to point that last year at this time, the impact fee balance was $232,400. As you can see, it's a little bit lower than that this year. I do believe, however, that we will have the availability of $300,000 of impact fees for the upcoming fiscal year. However, we may need to lower this estimate as we talk about the FY10 budget, but we'll know more about that as we close June 30 and as we start up the first quarter. Keep in mind that the school impact fees do not collect funds for commercial and industrial developments. We only collect impact fees for residential dwellings. On the operating revenues, all the state revenues, CAT aid, building aid, so forth, should come in. We have not heard on target. We have not heard any negative from the state on prorating any of their revenues. The main focus of the operating revenues, as noted, is the negative variance to target of interest on investments. When we did this projection almost 18 months ago now, the interest rate was hovering around 3%. At one point, we were down to 1.2, and it's hovering between that and 1.5%. We did take out a 90-day secured CD at a rate of 2.5% to try to recoup some of the money that we're losing. The gap, for the first time since I've been here, was wide enough that it made it prudent to float a 90-day CD. Medicaid, excuse me, is probably the only variable that we're confident we will make target, but just not sure. Really due to the fact that there's so many checks we get in, usually the third and fourth week of June. So depending on when they come in and when they're dated, could put us a little over or a little under. Questions on the revenue side?
Questions? Nope, keep going.
Okay. As I mentioned, the expenditure side is in much better shape. What I've done in the past is listed on table 3 some of the larger accounts that will or projected to overrun their accounts. I also listed, as I do, some of the lines or accounts that will make up some of the savings that will come under budget to help reduce on the expenditure side a little over $600,000 positive variance for budget. I don't know if you want me to go through them or just if anybody has a question on any particular accounts.
I think if there's just questions, anybody? Oh, sorry.
Yep.
On the sped accounts, I saw that we have less students outsourced. But that one went,
Well, you have I mentioned you're going to project to have a small savings in the out-district placements.
yeah, but the sped transportation is,
Well, don't forget, when you have sped transportation, it's not only students, but when we do it, when we do the budget, we're looking at sharing transportation costs, I'll say
Derry, for example. Derry will pick up X kids and Ron and Peter. Well, if the Derry kids, and we share the cost with Derry, but if the Derry kids don't go to, I don't know, the Greenberg school anymore, Peter and Ronnie, or the district is picking up the full cost for Peter and Ronnie. So it's that kind of cost shifting that's also going on.
Okay. So,
And it could be longer runs.
okay.
Anything else for Peter?
Great.
You got off easy, Pete.
Not really looking down the agenda.
Next item, bonding options for South School. Peter?
Yes. I wrote this really in light of the discussion we had at the bond hearing at South School back in January. If you remember, members of the Budget Committee brought up the discussion about whether we should look at different payout options for South School bond, i.e. condensing or limiting the payout schedule does produce a lower cost of interest. But as we know, the balance against that is the annual tax impact on the tax rate would be higher, obviously. And as Mr. Parker pointed out, if there's development in those years, well, in this case, 16, 17, or whatever, the bond has already been paid, and any development X, Y, Z in those years doesn't contribute to the cost. So it's a balance between, in this case, I would recommend, if you're gonna do anything, the 15-year option would be the only one that I would even ask the board to consider. That seems to split the difference between a savings of $600,000 and raising the tax impact from what we told the voters, about 2 or 3 cents. I think personally, the tax impact of going to 10 years is much greater than what we told the taxpayers in, way back in January. Again, it's a balance between saving money on interest or allowing, the tax impact, as we discussed on, the presentation for South School was a 20-year note, and allowing any future developments to help pick up and cover the costs. The reason why I bring it tonight, well, it's kind of like an operations night, and two, we are getting to the point where we're meeting with the financial advisors and starting to put the perspectives together, so we kind of need to know which direction the board would like to go when putting together the pamphlets and the papers for the South School bond.
Comments, or? The only one that I'll make, Peter, is I happen to agree with Ben that, with his comment about 16, years 16 and 17, 18, 19, and 20, is you've got all the people in the first 10 or 15 years footing the bill for a 50-year project. I'm a proponent, understanding that's gonna cost the town more in the long run, but frankly, it's not gonna cost all of us
Right.
individually. We'll have some help at year 15, 16, 13.
I'm okay with it.
down
I
the
just
road.
wanted to.
No, I understand, but I think we need to understand as a board where we're gonna direct you
I
to
just
go.
felt I needed to bring it to you.
I agree. I think you're absolutely right.
I was just gonna, we went out with 20-year numbers, and
Yes.
that's how it was presented. I'm reluctant to change that.
I'm okay.
'Cause that's what we asked
just thought
for.
In light of the discussion, it should be brought to light.
Thanks. John, Steve?
Well, food costs, fuel costs, all those other costs and all that kind of stuff. I just don't see that we can spend a penny more than we absolutely need to, and I'm sorry that it adds up to higher costs over the long term. But I think it was Ben who brought up the concept of the time value of money. And with inflation and things like that, by the time we're out in the 13, 14, 15-year range, God knows what a dollar's gonna be worth anymore.
Okay.
Go 20.
I think I get it.
Money by then? Yeah. Steve?
The airport access road has finally broken ground. It's scheduled to be completed in the year 2013. Maybe we'll have some development in the mid-teens. And as far as I'm concerned, I just as soon have those industrial and commercial customers helping to pay for this school.
I got it.
I concur with the 20 years.
Okay.
I thought I was gonna get it, but I
Yep.
got it.
No, that's fine. All right. next
item up is-
graphical report.
Yes. As I walk on over and Chuck comes up, I gotta run the computer in a second. This was in response to, I believe, Mr. Parker's request, and we understand the request to get a visual conception of all the roofing projects. I think this was brought up when we did the last maintenance trust fund. The idea of, where are all these roofing projects and what have you done and where you're going, and more of a visual would help. We did it in color for the board, and we have a presentation.
This is pretty neat. I thought he did a nice job. I don't have to do a presentation. I understand.
Right.
The school district has over 500,000 square feet of roofing on our school buildings. And over the last 6 or 7 years, we spent about $1.7 million in roofing repair and replacement projects. We still have quite a ways to go. We have about 300,000 square feet of roof that is either out of warranty or will be out of warranty shortly. And unfortunately, we have a lot of this roofing that is in poor to fair condition and in need of repairs. We typically do our roofing projects in the summertime using maintenance trust fund money. And over the past few years, we've been able to do less and less square footage on our projects each time because of the rising cost of the materials. Most of roofing products are petroleum-based, and everybody knows what's going on with the price of petroleum products. Roofing replacements that just a couple of years ago cost around $8 a square foot are up in the $12 to $14 a square foot range. In fact, South School is probably going to come in at about $12.50 a square foot. And to put this into a little bit better perspective, town helped us out, got some aerial photographs of the buildings, and by using different colors, we can go through and look at the projects. I've put in some different colors. The green would signify a roof that is fairly new and still in warranty. I'm sorry, the yellow are the roofs that are still in warranty. The green is the overcoating. And an overcoating is when you take a roof that is 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, coming out of warranty, but still in pretty good shape. You go in and pressure wash it, re-glue all of the seams, and then apply a weatherproof coating to it. And once this is done properly, you can get an additional 10-year warranty on the roof. It's a much cheaper cost. It's about $3 to $4 a square foot. And what it does is it buys us time so we don't have to spend a lot of money replacing a roof that could be repaired and get some more years out of it. First picture is the high school. And you can see the green areas on phase one, either end of phase one. Those were overcoated last year. We didn't have enough money to do the entire roof, so we did the worst areas. In the corner down here, this is the original part of the cafeteria. That was overcoated a few years ago. That's in pretty good condition. The yellow area is phase 5, and the second floor was put on in 2003, and that's still covered by the original warranty.
Getting there.
Okay, the red shows what we would plan to do if money is available, either through the maintenance trust or other sources. What we hopefully do in the next 10 to 12 to 15 years as far as roof replacement. In this section of the high school area right here, phase 2, is probably in the worst condition and would need to be done in a couple of years. Other areas, phase 3 and 4, be about 6 years out. Lobby area, a couple of years out. Phase 5, we're just projecting on this FY '22 or later. As I said, this is still under warranty, but when it comes out of warranty, we'll do evaluations and see what kind of condition it's in. Phase 1, as I'd said earlier, we're in the process of doing an overcoating to buy us some time, but somewhere 10 to 12 to 15 years out, we'd be looking at a total replacement on that section of roof.
Before we go any further, the dollar value that you see is today's dollars, not dollars projected out into fiscal year 19 or 20 or next year. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And that's important when we get to the end of the discussion.
And as we go through and look at the pictures, the schedule which shows the fiscal year or the times of replacement, those are our best estimates. That's part of the roofing plan that we have. Each year, or actually twice each year, we go out, we inspect all of the roofing, we do the necessary repairs, and then we reevaluate and see which roofs have deteriorated quicker than others, and then readjust the plan. The high school gymnasium was constructed in 2003, still covered under warranty. And we're projecting it in our long-term schedule to replace the roof probably in FY '22. This is Matthew Thornton School. We're in really good shape here. The south wing administration area, north wing connecting corridor, cafeteria, and the new addition, which is now 22 years old, have all been re-roofed with 20-year warranty. They're all in very good condition. The only section that we have left is the gymnasium. And we'll be looking at doing that in a couple of years. And right now, the estimated cost would be about $60,000. The gymnasium is a pitched roof, and it's a little bit cheaper to do than roofs that are flat or dead flat. As a middle school, again, we're in pretty good condition on this building. The original part of the building, which was constructed in 1982, has been completely redone. The 8th grade wing, or the classroom wing, library administration classroom area, the connector, gymnasium, and cafeteria have all been re-roofed with built-up tar and gravel, 20-year warranty, and a 30 to 70-year expected life. And this shows the middle school multi-purpose room and adjacent classroom areas, and then the pod section. These were constructed in 1997, and looking at doing re-roofing in these areas in FY '13 and '15, we have seen some pretty significant tears and repairs in this area, and we spent quite a lot of money on the repairs, about $6,000 this year. And one of the things we'd like to do is, rather than repair a roof and then have to tear it off a couple of years later, is to try to stay ahead of the curve so that we get the maximum life out of them, but we're not spending a lot of repair money on them before we do a full replacement. Moose Hill, built in 2001, the original roof, 10-year warranty. That's in very good shape. And on the plan, we have it scheduled for a complete replacement in FY '18. However, this roof, if it continues to hold up well, would probably be a good candidate for an overcoating, and we can decide that in another couple of years. We'd probably be able to juggle the schedule a little bit and do the overcoating on this roof. Again, get another 10-year warranty on the roof, and probably do it for a third of the projected cost. North School, again, we're in real good condition. Cafeteria, the original part of the building, the original classroom wing, the classroom additions from the 1970s, gymnasium area, and the addition from 1997 classroom area have all been re-roofed, all have a 20-year warranty. The addition was constructed a couple of years ago, and it has a fully adhered membrane roof, and that comes with a 12-year warranty. It's still covered under warranty. The replacement costs in this section and this section of North School were higher than normal because those areas of roof did contain asbestos, and it cost a lot more money to do the removal than we'd normally see on some roofing projects. And again, projecting out a replacement on the addition way out there, another 15 years. And this, again, could possibly be a good candidate for an overcoating if we needed to go that route and save a little bit of money. South School, this is a tough one. This area of the building has what's called a sawtooth roof. It's difficult to see here, but it's actually 4 pitches, and the reason it's called sawtooth is it looks like the blade of a saw. It's a pretty popular roofing design in Europe so that you can have interior areas with walls that go above the adjoining ceiling to let light, natural light, into these areas. The problem is in this part of the country or in this climate, when you have a winter like we just had, the snow accumulates on the roof, and slowly as it melts, it slides down almost like a glacier and tends to tear up the roofing underneath it. What we did 3 or 4 years ago in the front part of the building, we had a catastrophic failure there. We had seams, 40, 50, 60-foot seams that were tearing open because of the force of the snow and the ice moving, and hundreds of gallons of water pouring inside into the classroom areas. And we tried a different type of roofing. It's a built-up tar roof. It does not have gravel, but it is very strong. It's a 4-ply. It has a top coating above it for an extra protection of weatherproofing. And we have had a couple of minor problems around the roof drains, but overall this has been holding up pretty well. Multi-purpose room roof, same type of thing. It's got a little bit of a pitch, not as bad as the classroom area, and we did that one at the same time. And then finally, the area I just talked about in the front of South School, this is the roof that's 3 or 4 years old. And what we did is, when it was completed, this is the cafeteria or multi-purpose room, and this is a new roof. It doesn't look new because of the way it wears, but it is weather tight. It is holding up okay. And the front section looked the same way and did not look very good from the road. So we spent a couple of $1,000s and did some cosmetic work, and that's why it has the white coating on it for the front area. Just so it looks good from there. It does have a little extra weatherproofing on it. When we were planning to replace the entire main building and do an overcoat on the gymnasium area this coming summer as part of the South School project, and we will not be doing this this cosmetic coating on the other area because there's no need for it. You won't be able to see it except from the last one.
Oh. That was done.
That was the end, right?
That is done.
Okay.
Thought it was done. That's our attempt at providing a graphical presentation as to when we talk about the roofing projects and what we've done and where we plan to go. There is one concept we'd like the board to think about. No decisions today at all. Chuck and I, as we often do, sit down and we'll do what ifs and whatever. We ran some scenarios and just real rough numbers. And getting back to what we talked about in food, where we talked about petroleum products just escalating beyond control, one of the ideas we come up with is if we take a bond out and roof, and, yeah, then take out a bond to cover the cost of all the roofing projects for the next 10 years. Our intuition tells us that the interest on the bond would say, the interest of the bond with the escalating cost of the roofing would be a significant savings for the school district. Understanding it's another bond project that the school district or the school board would have to sell, advertise, so forth and so on. We're not proposing it, we're asking to think about it. If there is any interest in coming back with, I'll use the word, more details, more number crunching, so forth and so on, obviously Chuck and I would be happy to do so. And our feeling is the timing of say, August, September, as we start to gear up for the budget process, to give you some idea what the savings might be the best timing to lay out some big projects, so we start the budget process. The idea is fresh in the board's head, and we can go from there. We didn't even talk about the paving projects. I mean, the request from Mr. Parker was the roofing, but paving, again, petroleum-based. If trend holds, the cost of paving is escalating dramatically, and our gut feeling is that we could even tackle some of the paving costs, again, at current dollars, and save significant amount of monies based on the trend of increasing costs of petroleum products, even against the interest costs of a long-term note. Again, we're not asking to buy into it, we're asking to think about it. If there's interest, obviously let Nate or me and Chuck know. As I mentioned, August, September will probably be the good time as we get into it.
Well, I, for one, always see interest in looking at all the options, Peter, but that's, I'm 1/5 of this crew, so. Any questions for Peter and Chuck? John?
Just real quickly, and apropos of what George just said about looking at all the options, is there any other way to roof these buildings? Any other technology or product that might be less dependent on petrochemicals?
I don't know.
To the best of my knowledge, for roofs of this size with these type of spans, the only products available are all petroleum-based.
Thank you.
Ben?
Chuck, you did a great job putting this together. I appreciate it. It was very good. Thanks. And Nate, there's an interesting article in this month's issue of Scientific American about green roofs.
Don't be picking on green roofs now.
Yeah, maybe we can grow our own wheat up there.
You guys, I'm telling you.
And Peter, I don't think this is a very good idea.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of the bond. Just so you know.
Unless you,
I am.
yeah.
That's fine. I mean, if you don't throw it out, then we're not.
No, I appreciate
That's
you
right.
throwing it
I'm
out.
glad you looked at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there's too much good life left in roofs to try to talk about bonding now to replace, unless I've misunderstood the presentation.
That would be one of the downsides. We would be replacing some roofs that have not reached the end of their life yet. But on the other side, if you looked at it over 10 years, and again, we had looked at the numbers quickly, that when you even paying the interest on the bond, you come out about $1 million ahead versus an 8% annual increase.
But it almost, the other problem in my mind is you'd force yourself into another bond, 20 years, you'd be on a bond issue.
Right.
Because
Instead
everything
of
would be.
being laddered in.
Exactly. I'd like you to look at, tell us what, as the costs go up, I would assume based on the price of petroleum products, that the $400,000 may have to be increased next year to some other number that we need to start looking at it. And this is one of the ones where I would prefer not to accumulate interest or put an O&M cost into a capital account. And this, to me, is truly an O&M cost that we should be carrying as we go along.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons Peter and Chuck put this together too was to, aside from giving options, but also for the board as we go into budget time, saying, if we're looking at what we're projecting over the next 10 years, if in fact we want to stay on pace with the scheduled replacement, we're going to have to put X number of dollars in on a yearly basis to ensure that we've got the costs covered, with an understanding too that one of the things we had talked about was having like a level cost, but looking at, so just for the sake of argument, say it's $400,000 a year, but the board being cognizant that if it's going up at 8%, then obviously the following year it's going to be 400 plus the 8%. But there's, in a sense, a capital improvement plan for the roofs, and so it gives everybody a basis for making that decision. And I thought Peter and Chuck did a nice job in putting it together.
The drawings are beautiful. It really is very, very good. I'm going to save those for, I think you should next time put them in the annual report, not the annual report, but our budget report, so when we start talking about roofs, we know exactly what you're talking about.
And just don't make any more color copies.
Yes.
Well, to be honest, we were conscious of that, and when we did the black and whites, you don't get,
That's right.
you didn't get to see what we're trying to
No, I
print.
think it was the correct use of color, Peter. Thank you. I was only kidding.
It's
All right.
online in color.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay.
I make a
Deliberation.
motion that we accept for second reading policy IIAE for staff.
I second that.
I have a first and a second for IIAE staff. Any discussion or, no? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for policy IIAE for students.
I second.
Second reading.
I second it.
And any discussion? All those in favor moving forward?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0, Mary. And
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion if you want one to reconvene non-public session.
yes,
Second.
please, second. And roll call.
Hi, Steve Young.
Ira Campbell.
Aye. Ben Parker.
Thank you all. Have a good evening. And
Thank you.
remember, if you're in this room, you're on the air. I'm a lot, I don't even wanna